Hey Kim, thank you for joining us today to talk about the Lodge Liaison program. If you would be so kind to introduce yourself.
My name is Kim Maxfield. I have worked with Washington Masonic Services for 6 years. I have my bachelor's degree from the University of Washington in the School of Social Work. I've been in the field of social services for 30 years, and I just absolutely love my job.
Yeah, if you could tell me a little bit about the idea of how the Lodge Liaison was formed.
Sure. As I started my career in Masonic Services, I went out and started to meet Masons and build relationships and tell them what kind of services we offer. I think there was a specific Mason that fell and was injured, and I had quite a few Masons calling me just to make sure that I was going to go out there and see him and help him with his rehab and process. And I realized that it might be a little bit more efficient to find one person in each lodge that is kind of my point of contact, so that reassures those other members of the lodge that I am contacted and that I am following up with the injured Mason. And then I have one person also to follow back up with, as opposed to 5 or 6.
And can you share a story where a Lodge Liaison made a meaningful impact on a brother or his family?
Absolutely. I had a liaison that was reached out to a brother and his wife. Both had mobility issues, and they were having a hard time getting in and out of their home. They had gotten a quote for a ramp that was completely outside of their budget. I was able to brainstorm with the liaison about maybe there's a local lumber company that would give us a discount. Do we have any volunteers that might be interested? And he coordinated with the Lodge Brothers. They went out and built a ramp for this gentleman. It ended up that the cost was dropped well enough that the Mason was able to pay for his own. We were there to help financially if he needed it. But now I feel better knowing that he's getting in and out a little bit safer. We're avoiding falls, we're avoiding injury, and we're keeping both of them in their home a lot longer. And I feel like just that teamwork together and that camaraderie, and then the physical abilities of the Masons to all come together to help this one person was really, really super cool to see.
Yeah, and how do you coordinate with the Lodge Liaison across the regions?
We have 3 case managers through the state, and we are physically located, spread out through the state in Spokane, the Tri-Cities, and the Tacoma area, but we know and maintain the entire state. So you can call any one of us and we're going to know resources and be available for you in your specific region. We also might reach out to liaisons in a region if we have a specific need that we might not know. We know that lodges know their communities as well. So if we need to reach out to a liaison and ask what is the most appropriate food bank for a client, you might actually be a resource for us as well.
How can Lodge Liaison looking into the future make the biggest impact?
I would say even in the short time this program's been going, I have seen an increase in referrals that we're getting that are members of the Masonic family. And I'm getting them from liaisons. Liaisons are calling and saying, we had lodge last night and I have a brother that doesn't have food. So the more liaisons we get, the more referrals we're going to get, and the more services are going to go directly to Masons. That's what makes me the most excited about growing this program.
That's awesome. And then how can lodges best support Lodge Liaison efforts going forward?
I would say if you belong to a lodge but you're not the liaison, is to check in with them and see if there's phone calls you can make, or maybe those personal connections. Maybe you have time on a Sunday to go and sit with an older member and have a cup of coffee. Maybe it's an apprentice that just started that might do well taking a widow out to lunch and learning about the legacy of her husband. That's meaningful to the new Mason that's starting in the craft. It's also beneficial to the widow that would like to just sit and talk about her husband. So there's a lot of things the lodge can do to support the Lodge Liaison.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for joining us today for the Lodge Liaison program conversation.